Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mike O'Malley here with the Hurricane Outlook and discussion for September 14th, 2022, around 12 p.m. Eastern Time. We have a lot to talk about today, including a new tropical cyclone that has formed today, moving towards the Leeward Islands and could bring some impacts there. So let's go and jump straight into everything. Taking a wide look across the tropical Atlantic this afternoon, we notice that first thing that pops out in the central main development region, we have newly designated Tropical Depression 7. This has now become a tropical depression, formerly known as Invest 96L. This will be moving westward across the tropical Atlantic over the next several days and will be impacting the Leeward Island chain. And then we also have a tropical wave that has moved off the coast of Africa today. This has garnered a little bit of model support, especially on the European, and we'll have to see how this interacts with the very warm waters and potential favorable environment over the next couple of days. We could be dealing with another storm on our hands, so this will have to be monitored as well. Now, if we take a look here at Tropical Depression 7 today, we notice that we've had these deep convective bursts that have been pulsating for the last several hours, really from last night into today. And this has certainly led to the creation of a low-level circulation here. We actually notice that if we kind of rock the slider here, we notice that we do have a closed circulation. We have those westerlies down here on the southern end of the circulation. And then we've got the flow from, east to west down there. So we've got the easterlies there, westerlies there. We certainly have that low-level circulation that has formed. Now, we notice that if we kind of zoom out here and look at the zoomed out look, we notice that the environment is still very dry. We also notice that there is still some mid-level shear here because the convection is not right over top of the circulation. And that will be the case as this moves westward for the next couple of days. If you look at the official track forecast, this is expected to become Tropical Storm Fiona sometime later today or tonight. And then this will be moving westward across the tropical Atlantic, and then it will be impacting the Leeward Island chain beginning Friday evening into Saturday morning. And this will likely be 45-mile-per-hour tropical storm by this particular point, moving south of Puerto Rico at this time on the official forecast. And then the center is expected to move inland over Hispaniola in the Dominican Republic sometime early Monday morning and will weaken then into a tropical depression. Beyond that is still a little too uncertain at this point to determine what, if any, impacts this storm might have to the Bahamas or Florida, but it is certainly something to keep monitoring over the next couple of days. At this particular point, there's an elevated risk for impacts across portions of the Leeward Islands, especially north of Barbados. Again, some of these far northern islands here are at the greatest risk initially. Even Puerto Rico and the U.S. British Virgin Islands remain under that elevated risk today. This is due to some uncertainty within the overall track forecast, but also the potential for some heavy rainfall and mudslides. And then this will be moving over the island of Hispaniola in the Dominican Republic. That will lead towards increased heavy rainfall and mudslide potential, and certainly could be a potentially deadly situation as this moves off towards the north and west like that. So a lot that we're going to have to watch over the next couple of days. If you look at the GFS forecast here and how this evolution might play out, this is the 060. We're on the 850 millibar vorticity, or the spin in the atmosphere, at about 5,000 feet off the ground, and this is valid for 8 a.m. this morning. We notice that this is the signature here of Tropical Depression 7 in the model field. And we notice that over the next several days, again, this really struggles in part because of a lot of shear. And here it is kind of just a very weak system. This actually seems to open up on the GFS forecast as this approaches Hispaniola and the Dominican Republic. So this is certainly possible that we might even have an open wave at this time and not necessarily a tropical storm moving in towards that area, but certainly some heavy rainfall is likely. And then that system reemerges in towards the Bahamas and the Southwest Atlantic and goes on to try to develop into a tropical cyclone there in the long range. Now, this is certainly a possibility, but there's certainly some discrepancy here. Now, if we look here at the 12Z run, for example, this is the 12Z run that's just running now. We notice the storm is a lot stronger, and as it is crossing over Puerto Rico at this time, so it is a little bit stronger. It's making that turn towards the north. And the overall dynamics here, if we actually look at the 500 millibar height anomalies off the European, the 0Z run here, we notice that in the day 4 to 5 range, we have this big trough that is digging in across portions of the Canadian Maritimes and Atlantic Canada. So here's this trough right here, and our storm is expected to be somewhere in here. So if this is a little bit stronger and maybe a little bit further north like the GFS suggests here on the latest run, this might get tugged a little bit further northward and then catches that trough out to sea there. Maybe might be an impact threat to Bermuda once again. But eventually, again, we can see these parade of troughs that just dig in. And so this is one of the things that is likely to allow our storm to at least try to sneak northward for several days here as we get these continued weakness, these troughs that dig in and create a weakness there for these storms to feel. And so that is a very real possibility. And if we kind of look at some of the GFS ensembles, we can actually kind of see here that it's following much of a similar trajectory here. And we'll go back to that the 060 run. We notice that it's following much of the similar trajectory. Stronger storm initially, which leads to a further north track. The European ensembles here, the 060 European ensembles, again, pretty weak system here that is forecast, that is crossing over the Dominican Republic and Hispaniola. And then you can see these stronger members initially have a quicker turn out to sea like that, while the weaker members end up tracking this over the Dominican Republic and then in towards the Bahamas within 5 to 6 days. So there is a threat to the Bahamas from this particular storm. We're following kind of a similar trajectory to Earl, just further south and west this time. But this may have a shot at getting in the Bahamas within about 5 to 6 days and could bring some tropical storm or at least inclement weather conditions to that area, especially the Turks and Caicos and far southern Bahamas here. So we'll have to continue to monitor the trends of that. Right now, there's a very low threat for impacts to Florida and the southeast U.S., but that threat is certainly there at this point. However, it is on the lower end as there seems to be enough troughing in the east to carry this up and eventually out, but this could be a pretty close scenario this time, unlike Earl. So we're going to have a lot to watch over the next several days, but certainly nothing to panic about right now. Of course, if you live down there in the Leeward Islands, we could have tropical storm watches issued as early as later today or tomorrow. So again, tropical storm conditions are expected across these areas with an elevated risk of impacts across portions of the Leeward Island chain, the U.S. British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic and Hispaniola. But beyond that, it's a little too uncertain to determine what, if any, impacts could occur for portions of Cuba, the Turks and Caicos, Bahamas, and the southeast U.S., including Florida. All right. So with that being said, I do hope you have a great rest of your afternoon, evening. Of course, I am Michael O'Malley. I'll be talking to you guys again some more tomorrow.